Okay, YouTube. So we are here today to talk about getting Apple CarPlay in a BMW E46 without cutting up your airbox. So Alpine, I know there's a whole bunch of Android units out there, but from my perspective, most of those are not brand name, and you see people having issues with software on them and whatnot. But that is definitely one way to go if you're committed to that Android. There's a whole bunch of Android units out there, big screens, etc. Look really nice. But I wanted to go with a brand name, so I went with this Alpine iLX-W650, which is Mechless, which means it's not that deep, and it doesn't play CDs or DVDs, but I never play CDs or DVDs, so I'm not too concerned about that. So what I want to find out and hope to find out is that if that will install in my car without me having to cut up my airbox. By all indications, I think it will. So I've already sort of started. There's plenty of YouTube videos on how to remove your dash and all that stuff to get your stereo out of here. So I've already wired this up with the harness. I had a aftermarket stereo in there before, so that wasn't too hard to do. I've removed the center console here and am ready to go with the Metra kit. Before I do that, though, I just want to show you. This is my twin, my convertible, and what I've done with this car, I don't drive this car as often as I drive my other car, so I want to keep the original appearance of this car with the original stereo, but I still wanted to have somewhat modern ability to play music and whatnot. So this car has, unlike my other one, the cell phone built into the car, and you can answer the phone on the steering wheel and all that good stuff. And I didn't want to have to work around that, so in order to keep that capability, I went ahead and I put in a aux cable. Get all my paperwork out of here. Code reader. What BMW owner doesn't know about those? Okay, I put in a aux reader or aux cable that works with the stereo, which you can pick up anywhere from $6 to $40 depending on whether you want an OEM one, and that wires back to the back of the stereo. That's it right there, and it works pretty good. And what I did to make the car somewhat modern was I added this product right here called Firefly by Tunai, which is a Bluetooth music receiver. And notice it says music receiver. What it isn't, a lot of the little Bluetooth gadgets also try to answer your phone. This one doesn't do that. Just grabs the music and or whatever else you're streaming from your phone, and that's what I wanted. So that's a really I got this on eBay. It was about 35 bucks, and I'm sure you can find them other places too. So anyway, actually I think I got it on Amazon now that I'm thinking about it. So, and then with that, you plug the Tunai into a USB source. You could use a cigarette lighter USB one like that and just plug it in there if you wanted to keep it simple, and then run your cable in there. But I wanted to keep it all streamlined so that you didn't have to look at it and see it. So what I did was I hooked up the USB power converter here to the flashlight, and there's videos on YouTube about how you can do that too. And by doing that, this is a switched outlet. It comes on when you get in the car, and when you get out of the car, it stays on for about 15 minutes, and then it shuts off. So that's what I wanted. I wanted something that wouldn't drain the battery, and that outlet with this flashlight, which I wasn't using, but Most people, they either don't work anymore or whatever. If you still use yours, then more power to you. Then this wouldn't work for you. You could wire something else up if you wanted to. But then this thing stays hot when you get in the car, and you don't have to turn it on and off. Or worry about your battery drain. So that's another alternative, and that would work in my other car too, except I don't have cell phone answering through my other car, and I also don't have Apple CarPlay, which is what I really wanted in my daily driver. Alright, so that's that. That's just another option though that is out there. So what I had in the 330, the non-convertible, that car, 2001, is I had this aftermarket Alpine deck in there, and it was from a few years ago, and it answered the phone, and it played CDs that I never ever used that function, and it was also a Bluetooth and with an aux input and a USB. Worked okay, but with Apple CarPlay, I put that in my daughter's car, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. I like it a lot, so I wanted to get it in my E46. All right, so one thing, if you're going to do this, you got a couple of choices. There's some aftermarket kits for a double din, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a heads up on these. This one right here is the one from Metra that you have to cut the airbox. I don't think I'm going to have to cut my airbox because I got that Mechless shallow deck. But if you do, if you want to put a CD/DVD deep double din player in, Metra makes this kit that will let you put those in your car, but you have to cut the airbox and put that little box there. But one thing I want to show you is there's two of these kits. There's the 95-9312 Bravo, and that is the kit I ordered the second time. And the reason I ordered it the second time was it's not very clear which one you need. So this is the original console for the E46 330i, and you see it's got one button, and then it's got this long skinny thing right here. So I thought that I needed the one with a long skinny opening. That's the 95-9312 Bravo. I don't know if you can see that on there or not. And that's the one I ordered from Sonic's, and it was the wrong one, because when you flip this around, you'll see why that was the wrong one. I got all those individual holes there for individual plugs, and if you don't want to remove this before you order the kit, I recommend you order both of them and then just return the one you don't need. That way you won't have your car apart for a week and a half like I have without the kit. So here you see the individual slots for buttons that the 9312 Bravo kit has, unlike the 9313 Bravo kit. Alright, so I couldn't figure that out based on all the comments and questions on Amazon and all the other ones, and people answering those questions. Really, you're not going to know until you pull it out, I think. And so you got two choices: pull it out, look at it, figure out which one you need, order the right one, or buy up both of them and then just return the one that you don't need if you go with this Metro kit. Now, Metro sells a cheaper kit that doesn't cut the box, but that kit has this funky double din receptacle that sticks out of the kit. Hopefully, now that there's going to be a lot of these shallow units, they'll redesign their kit and sell a kit with that, and not having the provisions to cut the airbox for a cheaper price. But for now, I think I'm gonna have to buy these parts here for cutting the airbox and not use them. All right, so that's where we're at right now. And one other thing I do want to say though is, if you want to cheap out, you can just install this with a double din receiver. There's a kit that doesn't and then take your HVAC controls and stick your HVAC controls right in here. They will flop around a bit. You could probably rig up some shims or something so they won't do that, but it is definitely an option to just stick it in there. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to have it look good and not be rattling around in there. So I went with the kit. My HVAC controls are going to go right in here, and that drops them down a little bit, and that leaves you room for the double din, and then everything will be fine. But if you're just want to get a double din radio in there, you can buy a pretty cheap kit that will allow you to put a double din in there and then not relocate your HVAC controls, just put them in the slot opened up by removing this pocket. All right, so that's it. I'm going to go and put this thing in now and confirm what I already am 99% sure of, which is that I'm not going to need to cut my air box in order to fit that in there. And then let me just really quick, the air box right here, you can see that if you had a double din coming in this here, what you do is you're going to be taking the top of that off and making room for that double din for the depth of the double din that most of the CD/DVD player ones have. Alright, so I'm going to get cracking on this, and I'll get back to you after I'm done, and we'll see what happens. Alright, I just thought I'd clarify something here as I switch this over. Alright, so this is the new Metra kit. I switched over the cigarette lighter. That was pretty simple. There's the one button that comes over, and then you see how I've got all these individual slots, and this thing right here came from my old car. That's going to slide into there, and then this is the old car OEM piece with the individual slots. So you got to bring this stuff over and put it in your new kit. Alright, and that's why you really don't know until you pull it out if you've got a single piece there or buttons. At least I couldn't figure it out. Okay, I've almost got this thing done, and I've run into a little bit of a snag that I'm going to share with you. So, see those plastic tabs sticking out of the back? The receiver is shallow, but the kit is designed for a normal double din radio, and those, I didn't think that I was going to have any issues with those things sticking out the back, but when I put this in, I couldn't, the bottom screws didn't seat, so I'm going to cut this extra plastic off right here, and that'll give me the depth I need, or the shallowness I need to be able to put it and not bump up against that air box right there. So just when you do this install with the shallow kit, you want to cut these tabs off right here in order to make that go in there without any issues. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I just thought I would share that with you. Alright, so here's what the mounting bracket looks like after I cut off about 1.5 inches or so, and that should give me the ability to mount it in here without banging up against that air box. Alright, and once again, I did not cut that air box. Those parts I did not use from that Metra kit. Alright, so now that I cut that bracket off, down here on the bottom it's flush. A minute ago it was not flush. So I am all set now to be able to finish that and get everything back together. Now, one thing I didn't talk about earlier was you got a USB cable for your Apple CarPlay, and I mounted that down here. This is a cable I bought on Amazon. I cut a hole in my little ashtray, and I put that right here, ran the cable underneath here and up to the back of the deck. If I'd bought a little bit longer one, the one I got was 3 feet, and I might have been able to make it work, but I just went ahead and used the Alpine cable that came with it and made a little bit of an extension. But yeah, if you get like a 4-foot one, you probably wouldn't need the Alpine cable that comes with the deck, and you could just run it right up to there. But 3 feet was a little bit too short to pull that off. But yeah, it worked out really good. And you know, now you can see well, you can't see it yet, but I'm almost done here. The way this is going to look when it's all done, with that trim ring on there and everything, and then all that back on there, it's going to be looking pretty factory. Pretty happy with the way this is turning out. Alright, so I got this all installed now. You can see what it looks like. A little bit of glare there, but looks pretty good. The kit really mounts flush. Looks good, I think. Now I'm just going to show you real quick how this works. I'm refilming this because I messed up the zoom on a previous version. But anyway, so actually I didn't need to start the car, but see how long it takes to boot up, in case you're curious. Alright, so that's not too bad. And the Apple CarPlay right now, I got my phone already connected, so you can see if you haven't played with that before. There's plenty of videos showing how Apple CarPlay works. It's really a big extension of your phone at that point. And you can see I got Waze on there, which I prefer for my driving. I got the Sirius XM app. I have that app because my wife has it in her car, and as often as I listen to it, which is not too often, I prefer to have the app and not pay as much versus having another subscription. But you got to have a subscription to get the app. Google Play, that's my main way of streaming music, and all of that works pretty good. I do a lot of podcast stuff too, and yeah, so if you're hit that button, then it brings you back to the Alpine page. And I do want to show you something that I didn't quite understand for the settings. The setup, you'll see right now, it's grayed out, and you try to touch it, it doesn't work. You got to put the parking brake on, but you don't have to put it on once, you got to put it on twice. I don't really understand that, but that is their, that I thought I had an issue with my connection, or an intermittent connection, until I figured that out. I probably could have read the owner's manual and figured that out, but like most of you, I don't read the owner's manuals. So that's that. And then you can come in here and play with the sound. Some of the sound settings are available without the parking brake. Volume, you can adjust the volume for the different things that are going on there. And the dimmer, right now I got it dimmed down a little bit and on auto. And the camera, you can put 2 cameras on this, and then here's the software versions and stuff like that. So one thing I'm curious about though, and I'm going to find out right now with you guys, is if I shut the car off, start it right up and put it in reverse immediately, if I have to wait for it to boot up, or if it'll show me the rear view camera. So let's find that out real quick here. So here we go. Okay, yeah, it does not require it to boot up if you put it in reverse. So that's good. So that's about the, that would be a frustrating thing, to be sitting in a parking lot waiting for that boot up before you can put it in reverse. Wire for the reverse is the wire off of the harness that's clearly marked, and then if you look down in there, you'll see that there's a wire connected to the back of the parking brake. For you E46 people, the easiest way to do this is to cut that wire and splice the radio harness wire into that wire instead of trying to make the connection at the parking brake itself. That's the easiest way to do it. So that's required for you to access the setup. There's probably other ways to get around that, but this thing does not play movies, so jerry-rigging it to think the parking brake is on while you're driving, there's not really a lot of advantage to that. The safety aspect of it, yeah, it's a pain in the butt if you're driving down the road and you want to change some of those settings, but I don't think there's anything on there that's so urgent that you can't wait until you're stopped in the future. Alright, that's it. I'll have to edit my video and put this in at the right place, but the bottom line is it's a pretty sweet looking setup there, and the camera, rear camera and everything, I'm real happy with this purchase. Everything I got for, you know, less than $400 installed. Well, I did the installation, but less than $400 for everything with the kit, radio, backup camera. So that's a pretty good deal in my opinion. Alright, that's where I mounted my backup camera. It's not centered, but it is right there on the lip. And it's good enough. You could buy a license plate one if you wanted, or there's a lot of different ways you can do it, but that's how I chose to do mine. Took that lip off and screwed it in, and ran the cabling. Ran the cable through here, in here, and then underneath the seats and everything. So, but I wrapped this up in tape because I couldn't fish the wires through there. They just wouldn't. I tried a couple times and I couldn't get them to go through there, so that's wrapped up after I split it open. Works pretty good though. Alright, let me just clarify one thing. This part of the kit, this is the part that allows you to cut your airbox, and those are some additional flappers and valves or whatever. You do not use that when you do the install with these shallow Mechless receivers, okay? So just to be clear, you do not use all of that stuff. That's what makes this installation a lot easier.